All right, welcome back to the channel. Today we're making one of my favorites, cherry wine. A couple of weeks ago, somebody was asking, can you make wine with dry fruit? Because I can't get fruit in my country. I got a 5-pound box of dried cherries, and we're gonna show you the process of making it with real fresh cherries as we go. Don't miss this video.
How'd you like to get dangerous? I think you and me could take a little time. We could sail the seas and get wilder. We could get a little wilder.
These are linked in my Amazon store with all the equipment you're gonna see, but this is what you want. Vegan, organic is very critical, gluten-free, kosher, nothing added, raw. No sugar added. They're called barrelies, organic, but what I love is they're saying here, only the best nature brings. All right, let's get these opened up. I just want to show you what these are gonna look like out of the box. Now, this is a 5-pound box. When you're making cherry wine, if you're using organic, you want about 1/3 less versus a regular cherry wine. If you're using fresh cherries, you want 3 to 4 pounds per gallon of wine. For these dried cherries, I'm only going to use 1 to 1.5 pounds of cherries per gallon of wine. So there is a difference. This has the water removed where your regular cherries don't. Dried tart cherries. It's going to be a tart cherry wine, but when we back sweeten it, it's gonna be over the top. Now, I'm gonna make about 4 gallons. Laura's got something special for 1 gallon, and I'm gonna use 3 gallon just cherry wine. I'm just gonna open these up, and I just wanna show you the consistency of these. These are going to be almost like a raisin consistency. They're not totally dried out, and it's gonna be perfect for this wine. These are fresh. I tell you, you can't go wrong with Burley's. They sell all kinds of dried fruit. Make sure you're checking out them on Amazon by getting to our Amazon store. But do you see? It's like a raisin. That is perfection. They're pitted, they're dried, and most of all, they're tart cherries. It's time to get some sanitizer mixed up. Make sure you're sanitizing in this hobby. You heard me say it many times. You all know you need sugar to make great wine. That's what's going to turn your wine into alcohol by adding sugar and yeast. That's the process. For making wine like this, and every one of my recipes, this does not change. You need 2 pounds of sugar for every gallon of wine. Since I'm making 4 gallons of wine, I want 8 pounds of sugar. That's what these are. These are little 4-pounders. I love these because I don't have to measure it out. 8 pounds right here. Now, if you're using fresh cherries to make this cherry wine, this process is a little bit different where we're gonna hydrate these and add sugar. If you're using fresh cherries, you just add your sugar, 2 pounds per gallon, and you just cover that with water, and then you're gonna dissolve that. You don't wanna boil it, but it's a little bit different because we wanna bring these dried cherries back to life. So I got a big stock pot here, and I'm just gonna dump all my cherries right in. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our sugar here. This 8 pounds for this 4-gallon batch of wine. So let me just get these in, and we're just gonna dump that right on top of the cherries. This wine process is so easy. It is fail-proof. If you just follow our recipes, check out our book because it's got all our recipes. Our book is linked down in the description or find it on our Amazon store. Now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add water just to cover all these cherries and this sugar with water. There is no exact measurement. We're gonna dial this in a little bit later in the process. We're just trying to bring these cherries back to life and dissolve our sugar without boiling them. So you can see here, we just got the sugar added and we're just gonna bring this close to a boil, and then we're gonna let it steep with the lid on to bring back these cherries to what we want. It's gonna be a beautiful color wine, as you'll see. So constantly stir this. Do not burn any of your cherries on the bottom. Do not burn your sugar. Remember, if you're using fresh cherries, all you're doing is adding the sugar and the water. Do not put your fresh cherries in this mixture. Not necessary. Now you can start to see some bubbles forming along around the edge here. That's when we want to stop. We don't want to bring this to a boil. We just want to turn the heat off and put the lid on and let these cherries steep in here until they cool to room temperature. If you could smell this, it smells like somebody just made about 2 dozen cherry pies. But don't take the lid off. Now, besides our yeast, you need 5 additives to make great cherry wine. We'll go over each one of these as we go, but I always use the same one. Now, while our mixture's cooling off over here, we want to get some additives, add them to the bottom of our bucket. So sanitize your equipment, all your equipment. That's why I use also a spray bottle like this, because you can get everything. Use a spray bottle. It just will make your job so much easier. All right, our first additive is going to be acid blend here. This helps to balance the acidity in all your wine. So you want a ½ teaspoon for every gallon. 4-gallon batch, I want 4 of these. 4. Our next additive, pectic enzyme. Don't skip this, it helps clear your wines. We want a ½ teaspoon for every gallon, so I want 4 of these as well. 4, the next additive, yeast nutrient. It's going to help your yeast. When we put that in 24 hours from now, ½ teaspoon per gallon. 4 of these for this 4-gallon batch. Wine tannin. You need tannins in your wine for flavorful wine and to make it taste like wine. Sometimes you don't have to use this if you're using grapes, but for fruit wines, I always like to put it in. We're putting a ½ teaspoon per gallon. So 4-gallon batch, 4 of these, 4 wine tannin. The last thing you need is Camden tablets, which is basically sodium metabisulfate here. You need 1 tablet per gallon. I got 4 of these. The best way to get them in there is to crush them between 2 sanitized spoons. So let me do that. And that is number 4. Crush. Everybody gets in the pool. So far, our process has been exactly the same other than what we've put in here to reconstitute the cherries. Always use a mesh bag because this is going to make you a time saver. Don't skip the mesh bag. We want to be able to remove all that pulp as easy as possible. So that's why I'm using this. Now it's time to get our fruit in here. Now, one thing you can do to release some of this juice that's in these cherries, I'm going to smash them. You can see I'm just going to smash them a little bit along here. You can put your hands in here and do it. Whatever's easier for you. You especially want to do this when you're using fresh cherries. Just squeeze them ever so slightly. Watch all my videos. Watch my grape videos. I show you how I do that. But one thing you never want to do is you never want to juice your berries, your cherries, whatever. It's just going to introduce fine particles in your wine, and it's just going to be miserable to get all of that pulp out. You're just going to have to do extra rackings and so forth. I don't want to get my yellow shirt all dirty. I'm at least going to try. I got a sanitized cup here. I'm just going to slowly ladle in. If I had my wife, I could do this with just us, but I'm just going to ladle it in before I start pouring because I don't know how it's going to come out of this pot. But if you could smell this, oh my God. My wife is going to think I made cherry pies today. All right, I think I can pour the rest here without making a mess. Now's the time where you want to cinch this bag up. Yes, these bags are reusable, these mesh bags, but this one's seen its better day. This might be its last batch of wine. So put that in there. And then what I like to do rather than that is also make sure you're putting a twist tie. I got these in my store. They're reusable twist ties and they're food grade. I love these things because you never have to throw them out. There you go. But I haven't had any break on me yet, so that's a good thing. All right, now we're gonna test ABV because we want to get this wine where we want it. For this cherry wine, I want an ABV about 13%. So we're going to add water very slowly. We're going to float our hydrometer until we get there. I know about where it's going to come up. It's probably going to come up about to here. Now, remember we got those additives on the bottom. Now's a good time to swish them up a little bit and get them mixed in before we go much farther here. Remember, we're going to stir this for many days while fermentation is happening. All right, there's my sanitized hydrometer. Let me just see. It should be off the charts. Yeah, it's at literally 20%. So we got a lot way to go here. Add more water. Add this a little at a time and check your ABV. You don't want to overshoot your mark. And then what we're going to do is stir it again. You don't want to just be testing the water you just put in. And then you float it again. Make sure you're reading the right side of your hydrometer because there's many different sides to this. You got bricks, you got specific gravity, but I'll show you here. We're still at 17%. Adding more water. 17's too high. I want this to be like a dessert wine, not real strong. Now this, again, this process is the same if whether you're using fresh fruit or dried fruit in this case. It's about 13%. I might add just a little bit more to get it to 12 and then I'll stop. Now you can see, I'll get you a close up here. We're at exactly 12%. I'm stopping, no more water. Get the lid on. We're on day one, wrapping it up. We created our must. Now remember, I'm just giving this one final quick stir before I get my lid on. Do not add your yeast. Those Camden tablets will kill it. We gotta wait for 24 hours for this to settle down, and then we'll add our yeast. Sanitize your lid all the time. Everything that's touching your fruit or your wine, sanitize. Strip that off and get it on. And there we go, we got the airlock. Make sure you're filling this to the proper level. There's a mark on there. It's about halfway up. I love this style. It's in my store. I don't like the other one because this one you get to watch more effectively. Let's go, my little friend. A lot of people ask this question, what do I put in here? You can put tap water. If you got, I like to just top it off because I can control this a little bit better. Sanitizer. It's been exactly 24 hours. It's time to get our Red Star yeast in here. You know I swear by this, but we're gonna open this up. I'll show you how to use it. One thing I did want to tell you, make sure you're keeping this in the refrigerator when you buy extra packs. It will just keep longer. So let's open this. Oh my God, it smells like cherries. All right, we got our sanitized paddle. I wish you could smell this. One day we'll be able to pump this through the camera, I'm sure. But I'm just gonna give it a quick stir and we're gonna get the yeast in. Don't stress over the yeast. It's very simple. You don't have to pitch it like a lot of channels say. I do it the same every single time. Now, one pack is good for up to 6 gallons. Anywhere about 1 gallon, I'll use half a pack. 3 gallons, I use a full pack. Just sprinkle it in wherever you see wine. And then probably within about another 24 to 48 hours, we should start to see foam. That's it. Don't stir this in. Let it go. Get your lid back on. Close it and keep it in a dark place. All right, you can see it's been less than 24 hours and it is already going crazy. I love that Red Star yeast, but what we're gonna do now is we're gonna get our sticks sanitized and we're gonna stir this for at least the next 5 days. In this part of the process, the primary fermentation, it needs oxygen for at least 5 days. Get some good oxygen in there. That's what's gonna keep your yeast healthy. You can see all this yeast laying on top here. Now's the time where we wanna get that incorporated. Make sure you're keeping your fruit moist also. We can see here, that foam is what you want to see. That is fermentation happening. Oh my God, it smells like cherry pie in this house right now. This is going to take probably somewhere between 7 and 14 days to finish fermenting. Then we'll get it in the carboy. All right, it's been about 7 or 8 days and fermentation is wrapping up here. You can see here, this is not bubbling as much as it was. When this is about 30 to 60 seconds apart, that's when you want to open it up and test it. We're looking for a specific gravity of 1.0. Let's get this opened up. I'm hoping to float my hydrometer in here. We're just going to slide the bag like that and drop it in. Remember, do not disturb this because anything that's at the bottom, you want to get out. It doesn't look like we're quite there. 1.010, so we're close. This is not quite ready. I'm okay getting it into my secondary because I'm going on vacation and I gotta get it in there before I leave. It will finish up in the secondary fermentation. That's why it's called that. But we'll eliminate headspace and we might have a little sweetness in here. That's fine. Let's just get it racked into a sanitized carboy. Remember, 1.000 specific gravity is your goal. That means 100% of your sugar has been converted to alcohol. If you're less or higher than that, that means that you could have a little bit of sugar left in here, which is no problem. Strive to get to 1.0 specific gravity. Now remember, we did a 4-gallon batch here, so I got an extra gallon because I got a 3-gallon carboy. I'm hoping to get this filled, but just in case we're a little shy, look for these. These things have little grommets in to put an airlock in. These are quart size, so if I can't fill up the 1 gallon, I'll fill up these because these will be great for topping off our wine down the road. All available in my Amazon store. All right, I got my sanitized racking cane. We're gonna get this lid off and we're gonna fill our 3-gallon carboy first to see what we have left. So everything is sanitized. I'm gonna get the racking cane down the side here, not disturbing everything, and putting this down into my carboy, and we'll just get a siphon going. Oh, what a beautiful color. I'm gonna get you a close-up of this, but remember, don't get the stuff that's in the bottom. We don't want to squeeze our bag unless we're a little bit short in one of our 1-gallon carboys. So I think we're going to have perfect amount for 4 gallons. What you might want to do as we get closer is lift this bag up just a little bit to let everything drip out without squeezing and getting all those fine particles in. That's what you're trying to prevent here. And you can see, I didn't quite have enough to fill up that gallon, so I had about a 1/2 gallon. But you see these? These got nice little gaskets in, sanitize them, and then it's got these little grommets to put your airlock in. All we're gonna do now is get these on. I just wanna show you what's left in the bag here. Not much cherries, but do you see what's at the bottom? All that is dead yeast. I hope you can see that. So there we go. We finally got from primary. This is secondary. This will still ferment a little bit. That's okay. That's why it's called that. You can see I didn't get that full gallon. I could have probably topped it off a little bit of water and it would have been fine. But I had these 2 little quart size and they fit perfect. And also, I had a little bit to taste. Make sure you're tasting your wine in different parts of this hobby. This should be very dry because we were at close to that 1.0 specific gravity. Perfection. I'm gonna let it in these carboys for about 30 to 40 days, and then we'll come back, we'll hit it with bentonite and maybe some super clear. I really taste the tartness in that cherry. This is gonna be fantastic, back sweeten it, but get this in a dark place, a cool place that you can find, or cover it up with the towel, and it will be fine.
Let's get wild.